video is part of a playlist on how to live stream on YouTube. So if you want to learn more advanced options inside of OBS, make sure that you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if I've already made the tutorials live by the time that you've gotten here, then I will put a card up here somewhere to the actual playlist. You can just click on that and then go find whatever topic it is that you're interested about live streaming here on YouTube. To see what that's going to look like and to see what you're going to be able to do once you're finished with the playlist, I'm going to
Mother. Hey, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me talking right now? You can? All right, good. Good. Let me see how far back I am. All right, so that was. Hey, can you guys hear me? That was infuriating. What's up, fellas? I am very glad that I got this working now. So, let's do this, son. It's been a while since I went live. I completely forgot how to do it. So let's talk about some new information, son. Cody Garbrandt is fighting however you pronounce Figueiredo's name. Because, dude, how you like that? Is that thumbnail? Did that thumbnail come out on this video? Did the thumbnail? Let me see. Whoops. What did I just do? What did I do? I may have just fucked this up. But yeah, I got some help on my... What the hell just happened here? What did I just do? Fucking technology wants to fucking just... It's infuriating today, man. What is happening? Why am I looking at a black screen? Oh. My dude, thank you so much, man. Never caught a live stream, so I'd like to give me a token. Dude, thank you so much, man. I am just getting used to I don't know, the way that people make money doing this, going live and then doing super chats. I don't know. I know how to make money. I don't feel I feel weird asking for money. You know what I mean? How a lot of these YouTubers are like, yo, go to my page, donate. I don't know. I could never get used to that. But check this out. So let's talk about Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt, because that, in my opinion, is the most exciting 125-pound fight there ever has been. Ever. Dude, everybody keeps asking me about this DC's eye pokes thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what opinion can I have other than, when you're striking, you use your hand to, to measure distance. You're reacting quickly. I don't think the DC is like intentionally trying to stick his fingers into opponents' eyes. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. I think it's just something that happens, and it sucks. Obviously, like when guys get eye poked, it's fucking, it's not ideal, obviously. But what are you gonna do? It's mixed martial arts. Like you have to have range of your fingers, so it's tough, man. Which thumb? Maybe I'm. Hang on. Let me look it up. Let me look that thumb up. But so Garbrandt versus Figueiredo, though, that's got to be the most exciting 125-pound matchup like ever, right? Right? I mean, like that's a fight where someone's going night-night. And I think everybody's gonna have a hard time betting against Figueiredo in that fight. I think Cody's gonna be a huge underdog because he got knocked out a few times, and Figueiredo is a knockout machine. But listen, Cody, if he goes defense first, is impossible to hit. Like if that's what his game is not, don't get tempted by that. Like I have tremendous power in my hands, and I love the feeling of knocking people out. Like just chill and make that your secondary behind not getting hit. And Cody's got a good shot in that fight because he's very challenging to take down. I'm not sure if I've ever seen him really not that I could think of, where like he spent a bunch of time on his back. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, if he goes defense first, he's gonna be hard to hit, even though Figueiredo is a monster. I could never give Garbrandt better than 50-50 in this fight, but I don't think I'm being biased when I say he's got, he's probably 50-50. He could win that fight. What do I think about TJ versus Cejudo? I was just talking about Cody's cardio will suffer, but more so his chin will suffer. I'm not actually even sure if his cardio is going to suffer that much, but I think his chin will for sure. But I was just talking to an MMA manager. He specifically asked me not to say his name because I asked him if he wanted to come on and get interviewed. I was talking to him about getting access to fighters, and he specifically said he does not want to. He's not a manager that wants to be in the limelight, so I'm not going to say his name, but he's a top manager. And we were talking about TJ and what his value is, etc. And we're saying he's actually probably at this point an even bigger draw, at least in his initial fight coming back. But the UFC has him by the balls, right? He doesn't have a belt. In terms of the contract, so this is what I actually learned from him, is if you piss hot and you get suspended, your contract stays exactly the same. So like whatever his contract was before, it's completely unaffected. It's just like whatever, if he was fighting for, 200, that's what he'll get. Minus, obviously he won't have back end because he doesn't have the belt anymore because he got stripped, which is obviously a pretty meaningful chunk of change. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Do I think faded TJ Cejudo? I don't know. I don't know if TJ and Cejudo is even the most. I mean, like, to be honest with you, at 135, like, that is not even in the ballpark of the most interesting matchup, in my opinion. Like, which is crazy to think about. That, like, seeing TJ and Cejudo fight at 135 would not be, one of the top draws in that weight class. But I really don't believe that it is. I mean, there's so many monsters in that division. And another thing that manager was saying is he's like, I've been saying for years that 135 is the best division. And I actually agree with him now. I really do. That division is so stacked. And I'm curious to see how TJ is going to do when he comes back. But I don't need like two curiosity guys in the same fight, right? Like, I would love to see Cejudo come back, even though, like, what are we going to pretend like he's been retired for like 8 years? Like, he's like, if he came back now, it would, I mean, it would be pretty pointless that he gave up the belt, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. That EPO, first of all, giving you endless cardio. I mean, seriously, like imagine, like any of you guys who like work out, and especially guys who have like sparred. I mean, I'm not gonna like be educating you guys here at all, but think about, you know, I mean, like if you know you're going 3 rounds, whatever, or like 4 rounds or more, you know, if you're like an actual, you know, like heavy duty elite fighter. But if you even know you're gonna be sparring like 3 rounds in practice and you're like a regular person, like you know you have to conserve your energy. You know, like you're just thinking about that all the time. You know, like that, and then but like in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't want to expend too much energy. I got another 8 minutes to go. Imagine if that was a complete non-concern and you could go full throttle all the time and seriously not worry about getting tired. Like think of how fucking massive an advantage that is. I mean, that's, you know, you can get in incredible. I'm sure TJ's in incredible shape, but like EPO is probably one of the biggest, most outright cheating substances that you could take, in my opinion. His boxing defense fundamentals are still not great. Even if he only counters and tends to never brace for a shot being returned at the time and leaves his chin open for shots. Well, no, darling boy, I actually don't agree with that. I do agree with that if he does the thing I was talking about, which is like when he gets caught up trying to land offense, because you're 100% right. Like that's 100% correct. But if you really watch every time that's ever happened, just watch and kind of gauge whether or not he's thinking about defense, right? Like he has, like whenever that's happened, he has forgotten that defense exists, right? He's like, oh, I'm in an exchange. And he gets all fired up and he's like, I'm going to land something and this motherfucker's going to sleep. But it's like, you know, if you're doing this, like, you know, you're not doing this. So he leaves himself open and he gets clipped. But, I mean, like if you just look at how he fought Asensio, it's not like Asensio's a slouch, man. And he managed distance incredible. He looks like his footwork is incredible. His boxing footwork is incredible. But yeah, I mean, like I only think his boxing defense fundamentals are not great when he gets into those like crazy exchanges. If you look at how he makes himself challenging to hit when he's not getting caught up in throwing a bunch of strikes, I actually wouldn't agree with that. I think his defense is pretty strong, or very, very strong. Cody needs them old neck muscles. That's a fact. DC and Miocic, I have never been more no idea who's going to win that fight than that fight. Honestly, like I genuinely do not have one clue who's going to win that fight. I wouldn't feel confident either way. I guess I'm probably leaning towards Stipe, but I don't know. I mean, you know, DC, he didn't fight, like he got caught kind of in exchanges. He got caught moving straight back. When Stipe made the adjustment, started hitting him in the body, Daniel didn't really do anything. I feel like Daniel got overconfident towards the end, because Daniel was definitely winning that fight until Stipe came out in the 4th and, you know, started obliterating his body. But it's really hard to say. I mean, my gut tells me Stipe. I would be zero surprised if it was Daniel, and I would be really stoked if he won. TJ versus O'Malley. That is a great call, man. That is a great call. Man, I can't believe I hadn't thought of that. Neither did anybody else. I haven't heard anyone else say that. And fuck, that's a good call, man. TJ versus, I mean, O'Malley, obviously, he needs to win this next fight like decisively for that to even be in the conversation. And realistically, he probably should fight one other person before he just fights TJ. But it would be a nice, be some nice payback for TJ. I mean, there's nothing that like if you give O'Malley fucking TJ, like, he basically, he has, like, there's nothing to lose there, right? If he loses, it's like fuck, man. He was fighting TJ Dillashaw, like, you know, the champion prior to that. So it's certainly a It's certainly a loss that he could absorb and it would be fine. And if TJ lost, it would be like nice poetic justice. It's like, oh, you want to cheat and do EPO? Here, how about you come back and get your head knocked off by a fucking rainbow-haired, tactician that's just knocking people out, and he's a superstar. He's a bigger star than you already. But man, that is such a good call, dude. TJ versus O'Malley. By the way, I don't know what the hell happened. Well, I have a theory, but check this out. So I told you guys I'm complete. Like, I'm done with talking about anything other than MMA on this channel, because unless something comes up in like an interview, because so I had very specific numbers where like I checked the analytics and everything, and it was like, duh. And then I talked about Portland. And then I did a video where I said COVID in the title, which actually was just like a top 10, like fighters that are crushing it during the lockdown. But I said the word, I should have even said it right now, but like in the title, I put, the thing that is keeping us all in the house. And literally just like that, every single video that I've posted since then has gotten like half the views or less. Since the moment that I talked about Portland and then the coronavirus. I mean, it's possible that I was uploading them at weird times or something and then not talking about like topic. But I don't know, man. It was a pretty decisive hit to the number. So I'm like, all right, I'll just separate the two. But that's just what's gonna happen now. It has to happen. But dude, you guys, seriously, I don't know how much you guys watch the how much you guys watch the fireside chats where I do interviews, but the interview I did yesterday was awesome. Like, it's so good, dude. Because I interviewed Kejon Johnson or Kejon Johnson, and we talked about fighting a little bit, but more, I would say he held some pretty strong views that are diametrically opposed to how I see a lot of this stuff. And we had an awesome conversation about it. He's a really smart guy. We have a ton in common. And then just kind of on those hot button issues, like we didn't see things the same way, but we found a lot of things that we did see the same way. It was just like, and I just came out of that, like, you could tell he's like a passionate, quick to anger guy, just like me. And somehow we navigated this conversation where I felt good about it. I'm sure he did, and I don't think there was any ambiguity that we did not see eye to eye on a bunch of that stuff. But he's a stud, man, and he talks about knocking some guy out too, like in the street. That's my goal with all these interviews is to get every UFC fighter that I talk to admit that they've knocked someone out outside the ring or broken their arm, etc. I'm editing the Dean Lister one right now. Is Cody No Chin Garbrandt the funniest shitty nickname ever? I don't know. Like, I think of some other ones and I'll tell you if his is the best. I can't think of any like other shit ones. TJ's getting Sandhagen or Marlon Moraes. That's probably accurate. And man, I wonder, like, Sandhagen, people don't understand what that guy is because, Aljamain just fucking ripped through him. But that guy's a monster, dude. Sandhagen is a monster. And absent being a 135-pound boa constrictor like Aljamain and being able to just kind of tie him up or do whatever, I don't understand how he was able to nullify Sandhagen so well. But I don't think that TJ would have an easy time with him at all. I don't think anybody else would, actually. I see that weird promo that Paulo Costa made for his fight against Izzy. Weird shit, dog. I'll check it out, dude. Like, these foreign guys, it's not just their language that's foreign. It's like mannerisms, sense of humor. Like, a lot of stuff is just kind of like, okay, that probably made sense if I was from Brazil. That was just kind of weird. Don't I think that Cody might be as weak as TJ in flyweight? Of course. I mean, of course. And if you and I are thinking that, obviously any professional fighter or professional fight coach is going to be saying the exact same thing to their fighter, which is get in there and test his chin immediately, right? Like get in there and make him take shots. And also test his resolve. Like listen, like I am rooting for Cody. Like Cody is my dude. But you know, if I'm gonna fight against him or coach against him, I'm gonna be like, look, you got two things to test. Test his chin, but he's got a ton of power, so don't get hit. But also test his resolve to fight measured and disciplined. You know, try to make him mad. Like try to get him fired up to where he steps outside of his controlled self. He's dangerous when he's controlled. He's knockoutable if he's uncontrolled. So like, you know, get in there and fuck with him a little bit. Like he's a guy that'll grab a dude backstage by the neck. He's a hothead, you know, which I like, but at the same time, he looks like you can actually make him angry. Where like Masvidal's not that. You know, Masvidal will choke slam a guy or punch him backstage, but he's under control. Like he's calm, and he's just decided that like, oh yeah, you can't say that to me. Like that's not something you could say to me without me punching you in the face. But he's not like mad. Like his blood pressure probably never rises throughout any of that stuff. But Cody is not that. Like Cody gets mad, right? Like when he approaches Peter Yan and he challenges him after the Uriah Faber fight when Yan beat Faber, like he's like pissed, you know, because Yan beat his boy. And so like he's like genuinely angry. He wants him, which I like. But that can be used against him for sure. I mean, just plain and simple. It's like getting angry is a weakness, and you know, someone being able to make you angry is a huge weakness. Who do I think is the toughest matchup for Khabib? Conor, Gaethje, GSP, Usman, Tony. Well, I mean, Usman's not even in the conversation. GSP is a total unknown entity because he's fought once in like 6 or 7 years. Gaethje is my answer. I think Khabib runs through all the rest of them. You know, unless Conor pulls something magic, which is totally possible. Conor is magic. But if you're just looking at it objectively and you forget that it's Conor and you just look at the fight, you know, look at their last fight, look at their strengths and weaknesses, I mean, Khabib should be a pretty large favorite. And Gaethje, and I think Tony, I don't see how Tony wins that fight. You know, I really, like, I just don't see how he wins the fight. Because Gaethje, the way he wins the fight is he uses his wrestling to keep the fight standing, and he knocks Khabib out standing up. You know, Tony has not even, I mean, I know he's a collegiate, like, you know, national champion or whatever, like top tier collegiate wrestler, but in MMA, I've never seen him demonstrate a level of wrestling that would lead me to believe that he's going to be able to do something against Khabib that other people couldn't, right? Because, like, Kevin Lee took him down. And I realize he's comfortable fighting off his back, not against Khabib. Not against Khabib. Like, you know, like, there's no off-the-back submission that Khabib hasn't trained 10,000 times. You're not going to catch him in a triangle, you know. Like, you're not going to catch him in some weird, like an omoplata or something. Like, if he's on top of you, he's like, that's what's going to happen. And on the feet, Tony's not a, like, knockout power. He's not going to catch you with a shot and knock you out. That's just not how, he's an accumulation of punishment type guy. And I find it incredibly difficult to believe that he's going to be able to keep it standing long enough to just pound and pound and pound and pound and pound Khabib. Especially because Khabib's striking keeps getting better too. So, yeah, I can't see how Tony wins that fight, candidly. Yeah, and I'm not even factoring in what happened against Gaethje because it's a completely different type of fight. But Gaethje can keep it standing, and Gaethje can knock Khabib out. I mean, that's how he wins, and he's the only one that I think has a chance against him. GSP, who knows? I mean, that's just a weird matchup. And Usman, I mean, if they actually fought at 170, like, it's impossible to call. You don't know what Khabib's going to be at 170, but Cody's not as built as TJ. Might be a natural flyweight. Possible. We'll find out. Asensio beat Moraes and Sterling. Is that right? Asensio beat Moraes and Sterling? Let me check that out. Dude, I seriously cannot express to you guys how frustrating that kind of thing with YouTube is, man. Like where you feel like you're doing something and it's oh yeah, you're right. Split decisions over both of them, but yeah. Huh. And then he beat Matt Lopez, then he beat Rob Font, then they gave him Marlon Moraes again, and Moraes beat him in the first round. I saw that. Then he lost to Corey Sandhagen, who's a monster, and then he lost to Cody Garbrandt. I mean, all three of those guys he lost to are absolute monsters. But he's kind of old, right? Like Asensio is, let's see. Oh yeah, he's 38 years old. But yeah, man, I seriously, I cannot express to you how infuriating it is. You know, like obviously, this is a channel that is in its infancy. I literally started doing this in April, right? So May, June, July, like, you know, we're in August, like we're not even at like 4 months barely. And so like, it's not about the numbers. It's about a trajectory that's moving in the right direction. And like, so the difference between a video getting 2,000 views and, you know, 900 views is astronomical in terms of my interpretation of what's going on, because it takes you like where it makes you feel like you're doing this. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, but I know that YouTube's algorithm like decides what to show people, and there are certain things that you're really not supposed to say, or else they'll kind of bury it. And I have a very strong feeling that's exactly what happened. And anyway, so I am going to, I'm working on some partnerships that will, I just, you know, where I don't have to rely on YouTube showing it to people, where, I mean, this is always the plan anyway, but now I feel extra motivated to go get those deals in place because, man, that is infuriating. But anyway, let me go back and read these things. All right, so let me see. TJ would school O'Malley? I don't know about that. I don't think anyone knows that. Okay, so what's the most awaited fight for 2020? Stipe versus DC, Khabib versus Justin, or Izzy versus Costa? Khabib versus Justin for sure. Out of those three, for sure. And you know that's a good segue into this thing. So through the rumor mill, I got a bit of information validated. Another thing I can't really talk about, but I talk whatever. Trust a credible source, okay, told me that they know that the reason why Conor's not fighting is because Dana is keeping him on the shelf to fight the winner of Gaethje and Khabib. I mean, it's just basically that simple. And the GSP conversation, because I asked, I was like, well, why is he saying that GSP could fight Khabib after? And they're basically like, honestly, what Dana White is saying is true, which is he's like, if Khabib really doesn't want to fight Conor and he'd rather fight GSP, then I'll let him do that. But he's not like, if Khabib like this, he would only let him not fight Conor if it's GSP, because it's just as big of a fight. He's not going to be like, oh, I don't want to fight Conor, I'd rather fight Oliveira. Like Dana's gonna be like, fuck you, pal, you know. But if it's GSP and GSP's in, that's a totally different thing. It's just as big of a fight. So, yeah. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, it's very frustrating, man. It's so frustrating because the fight game has an expiration date for every single person. And in all honesty, it's less about age. I mean, age obviously matters, but it's more so about punishment. So Conor not taking any punishment, you know, it's not like his shelf life is shrinking like a fighter who's in there getting banged up 3 times a year. But Jesus, he's the most exciting guy in the sport when it's, you know, you got to lead up with a Conor fight, and like he built, you know, like he like gets inside the guy's head, and it's just like, it is so frustrating him not fighting, you know? It's like, Jesus, it's like, and they let him get too rich. You know? Conor was so smart. So smart. He leveraged his position. He did everything right, in terms of business. And he freed himself from the shackles of needing the UFC, which is why he has such tremendous leverage in every single negotiation. That's the key, is to not need them. It's just like, again, it's just like dating a girl. Like you're dating whichever of you has less emotion invested has more power in the relationship. Because if one of you is like, look, you can behave like that, but if we weren't to like ever hang out again, like it's really not that big of a deal to me. Like that's the most powerful position that you can be in. So think about that, except just add money into it, where you're like, no, I think I'm going to need this much. Like, I know what I'm worth. I mean, listen, like you think you guys are the only ones who can run analytics models and then figure out what that translates into in terms of pay-per-view buys and what my impact is on like a dollar's perspective. You don't think I'm worth 60% of my personal impact that I've grown? I will certainly say you guys are responsible for promoting me, so you guys can keep 40% of what I bring in that would be different than any other fighter. That seems fair, right? That seems fair. And side note, I have $1 billion liquor business that I own 65% of. So not super concerned if you guys don't want to do the right thing. I mean, that is literally what every fighter should be driving towards. And maybe that's what John Jones has. If John Jones is not stupid with his money, I mean, he's been making $5 million a fight for however long. That's plenty of dough. I mean, you can have especially in New Mexico, you can have a ridiculous house and spend $3 million on it. Yeah. By the way, has anybody seen Post Malone's house in Utah? So, I'm sure lots of you guys watched the Joe Rogan podcast when Post Malone was on. And he said he lived in Utah, and I found that fascinating because I lived in Utah for a year, and I'm like, Jesus, like anywhere I went, being tattooed is not like the Mormons. That is not a thing that they're down with at all. And I literally felt the way it would feel if you were, like a black guy in like a racist county, and I mean, I'm not exaggerating about that. Like that is actually what it feels like, because they look at you, they're so judgmental, dude. It's crazy. But like Post Malone, I mean, I guess if you're that famous, it kind of supersedes any stuff like that. But anyway, his mansion is bananas. Okay, so an investor in my company in Utah, I went to the Manny Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas fight with him, and we flew a private jet both ways, had fifth or sixth row seats. Sixth. I don't know why I just defaulted to like exaggerate that we had fifth row when we actually had sixth row. It's bizarre. But anyway, like, bottom line is this guy is balling, okay? Balling. His house is this like 8,800 square foot castle. Like, unbelievable, this guy's house. And I remember walking through there just being like, good God. He's got a jet. And then I looked it up on Zillow, and he had bought that house 10 years before that for $1.2 million. Okay? It's probably worth 1.8 at that point or something like that. But like, the house I live in right now is worth $1.2 million. And it's, to say it's not even in the same category would be an understatement. Like, I just live in California and in the Bay Area, and like which is why we're going to leave. Like, we're going to bounce. Like, we're not going to live in the Bay Area for much longer for that exact reason. You go look in Austin, Texas, like literally Austin, Texas, which is where I'm looking right now. The exact same house that I'm living in right now, which, I mean, I haven't checked like since, all this stuff with the, lockdown and stuff, because home prices have varied a lot. Like, they're going way down in cities and way up in suburbs, but specifically in other states. Like, people are leaving New York, California, etc., because it's so expensive. People can live wherever they want now because you can work remote, anyway. But so identical house, okay? 1.2 here, 375 in Austin. Now, I don't know the neighborhoods that well, but like, worst case, you're talking like 500 for the exact same house. You're like, how can I possibly justify living in California, right? It just, I mean, how could you possibly justify that? But yeah, check out Post Malone's house in Utah. And the point I was actually making, okay, so the guy's house that I was in, which was completely insane, worth 1.8. Okay, Post Malone bought his for $14 million. And I actually asked a couple, people that I knew in Utah with money. I'm like, so like, let's say you wanted to spend $10 million in a house. How would you even do that? Like if that house is worth less than $2 million, if you're like a really wealthy person and you want to spend $10, $12 million in a house, is that even possible? Like, what would that even look like? Answer, Post Malone's house, and go give that a run, because it's so crazy. It's such a sick house. I just wonder what it would even feel like to wake up in a place like that every day. Like, because, the human mind gets used to anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter what it is. The human mind will get used to anything and then start taking it for granted and then start comparing everything to it from a standpoint of being disappointed with things that are less than by comparison. It's really like a sickness that all human beings that don't work on it, that don't like kind of make a conscious effort to not fall into that trap, almost everybody does it. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The one exception to that rule is how I swear, dude, I've been with my wife for 13 years, and no matter what, every single time I look at her, I'm still like, dude, she's the fucking sexiest girl I've ever seen. And if that is an experience you have with a girl that you've been together with for over a year, marry that girl, because that is not generally the case most of the time. After 6 months to a year, you start finding things that you're like, yeah, she's hot, but I don't know, like there's, you find things that about her that bother you. If you've been with someone for a year and they still just look like a fucking porcelain doll of just perfection that you would never change anything about, stick a ring on that girl's finger for sure. But yeah, anyway, so that was a long form tangent. So I wonder how long TJ's been on the juice. Probably his entire career, or certainly a lot of it. Dude, YouTube's clearing out old subs every now and again. Maybe that is what it is, because I lost subs. I for the first time, I actually saw my subs go down day over day. And that was, down like 3, but usually they're up. And so, I'm frustrated if I only gained like 15 followers or subs. And, when you see it actually go net negative, it's infuriating, dude. But that's probably exactly what it was. Either that, or people are like, people were like, wait, he thinks Antifa are the bad guys? I'm out of here. But nonetheless, that is why I am not going to. A lot of people like the other stuff too. Maybe you got a few SJW MMA fan subs. It's possible. That again, like the formula I'm using is this: if you like the other stuff, you're probably just gonna go sub to my other channel, right? Like, it seems like common sense to me. And people who don't like it will just unsubscribe. So if my goal is to build a thriving subscriber base, then it's a no-brainer. Even if I want the brand to not just be MMA, but I guess I can do it with 2 channels, whatever. But honestly, after that interview that I did with Cajun, which I highly suggest that you guys watch, like genuinely, I genuinely suggest you guys watch it, dude. Cajun, he's an interesting guy, smart. I actually think in the long run, that's what the majority of the content's going to be hosting people and having conversations with a bunch of people. It's just fun, man. You have people on that you automatically have a ton of respect for because they have excelled in something that you're a passionate fan of. Like anyone who comes on and is a UFC fighter, they're going to have to say some really, really dumb shit for me to be like, for that to supersede the fact that they are a professional fighter, right? Like that's a large, power back, right? Or battery pack where it's like, they're like, oh, I think blah, blah, blah. I'm like, ooh, you know, yikes. And then I remember it's like, oh, but, you know, they're 7-3 in the UFC. I'm like, oh, yeah, forget it. And they're allowed to say that, you know. It's like they're going to have to just pound at themselves for me to be like, fuck that guy, you know. So I'll always give extra respect to the guys that are doing it big like that. Shout out from Seattle. What's up, dog? Seattle, abolish the police. Gosh, I should not have said that. I apologize for saying. You know what? Let's pretend like I was saying that I'm pro that. Yeah, I think abolishing the police is a good thing, and then we can remake the world. Then maybe I'll have my videos like promoted, and I'll give you guys one of these. Like, that's not what I really believe. Like, I don't think that at all. I think the murder rate will skyrocket if we do that, and I think that it's doing a huge disservice to people who you say that you're actually protecting. The most awaited fight for 2020. Oh, I already talked about that. Kel Smith, I appreciate that. Love the political stuff. Don't ever self-censor. Ideas are interesting. I very much appreciate that. Because, like, listen, like, I don't think this is going to come as any kind of shock that I'm pretty confident in my opinions and confident in my ability to kind of like disseminate information and have unique takes that are, but nonetheless, even me, we're like, I'm finding out that when people break my balls, like in the comments, makes me mad. I think they're dumb, but then it still makes me like, man, maybe I should just like adjust what I say. I don't like, I can't explain it because, but if you guys like the stuff that, like, literally, if you guys like anything that I say in a video, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you guys actually put it in the comments because, you know, listen, like, Joe Lenore, what's up, dog? I just saw that you're on here. What's up? That, you guys want to talk about real police. Joe Lenore is a door-kicking narco traficante handcuffer. Slam your head into the wall on the... Oh, no, I mean, won't do that. Would never do that. But, yeah, Joe Lenore is not a paper pusher. He also invented the Niner Empire, which has like a fucking 100,000 members. Stud. A stud. And, yeah. All right, so thoughts on Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. I think that if these guys go full throttle, that Tyson will win. And but I'm basing that on him hitting pads. You know what I mean? I like, listen, if you gave me a month and I trained every day, I could hit pads and look real good. And then if I got in there with Roy Jones, he would decapitate me, you know? Now, obviously, he's Mike Tyson, but the point I'm trying to make is that hitting pads doesn't necessarily translate directly into what you would think in the ring, right? And Tyson did that one video. So, like, when he was hitting pads, you know, he looked super powerful. He looked super strong. He looked super fast. But he did that one video where he has his shirt off and he's outside in his backyard. You know, he's doing that thing. And you can see he's slowed down a lot. Like, he is slower than he used to be by a long shot, which you actually, in some of those, like, tailored clips that he chose of hitting pads, he doesn't look like he's lost much speed, but he has. But still, I think Tyson's going to win. You know, I mean, Roy Jones almost 52. 50 as well, I mean. Congrats on 6K. Thank you so much, JP. I'm telling you, I'm feeling very, very insecure right now when I'm got, you know, not insecure, just like, if you don't see things going this way when you're working on it every fucking day, then it feels unstable. So I appreciate that a lot. But, you know, I think this should come as no shock. I'm never going to quit until I am this big. It's just a matter of how long it takes and how frustrated I have to get going through it. But I know it'll get there. I'm 100% positive about that. Brazilians are funny. Paulo King of Bitches Costa is the best nickname. Is that a real... Who gave him the nickname Paulo King of Bitches? Is that a real thing? Jesus. So I'm way behind. If you guys want me to talk about something, What's up, dude? You're going to have to super chat that, and I will get to it right there. Jesse Macias, what's up, dog? I didn't even see you in there. Dude, I must be way behind. Jesus. I am so fucking behind. I am not doing this on purpose, but like I said, look, this business, dog. If you guys want me to get to your question fast, you're going to have to do like a $2 super chat. And I'm going to take that money, which YouTube takes 35% of. I'm going to buy me some Pez for my babies. Paulo Campus. Anderson Silva says, if O'Malley wins, what reasonable matchup do I like for him next? Fuck, that is such a tough call, in all honesty, because he's such a huge star. And simultaneously, there's just a murderer's row at 135. It's like, I mean, just a fucking murderer's row. I honestly don't have a good answer for that. Let me see, actually. Because after this next one, they got to give him a big fight. They got to give him a big fight. But you want him to win. I mean, again, like, you don't want to be unreasonable to the brand and, like, just completely pamper this kid. But you absolutely, as a business, want him to win. So it's a matter of who's the biggest name that you're really confident that he'll beat, right? So he's at number 14. You got Song Yadong at number 13. No, you got John Dodson. I like that matchup for him. Dodson, it'd be tough for him. Wow, Dominic Cruz. Huh. That's a fight I would want to see. And that's a catapult for O'Malley, right? That is a catapult for O'Malley. I think that's a great matchup for him. If they did Dominic Cruz versus Sean O'Malley after this, you know, I mean, it's a dangerous fight for O'Malley, but no, I mean, I don't know. Like, Dominic Cruz doesn't knock people out really, so I think the way that Dominic Cruz fights, if you get him in a 5-round fight against O'Malley, I think O'Malley has a huge advantage in that fight. I think he would win. Then you got Cody Stammen, Rob Font, Rafael Asuncio, Jimmy Rivera, Jose Aldo. Maybe Jose Aldo, man. Now, it depends on what you're trying to do with Jose Aldo. Like, do you want to revive his career? Do you want to make him a person that matters? Or are you going to just accept at this point that he probably is not going to be an elite top of the food chain fighter? Oh, shit. I'm sorry. I missed this. Super chat. Wait, you didn't have a question? You just gave me 5. Dude, what's up, man? Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Cop 18. Is that, I bet you that's your whip, huh? You go off-roading with that? That must be fun as hell. Thank you, dude. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. It depends on what you want to do with Jose Aldo. If you want to make, like, keep him around the top, I don't think that there's a likely scenario where Jose Aldo has any shot at winning the title at 135, because just look at this, dude. Peter Yan, Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling, Cody Garbrandt, Corey Sandhagen, Pedro Munoz, Jose Aldo. It's like, dude, I mean, he'd have a chance against Cody, obviously, because he could potentially knock him out if Cody got wild, but, like, I don't know, man. Like, I would pick the other guy against Aldo against literally every other one of those guys, except, even probably Pedro Munoz. And then let's go even behind him. Like, Jimmy Rivera, that's a good fight for him. Asuncio versus Aldo, that makes perfect sense right now. That's the fight I would make for Aldo. Cody Stammen, Rob Font, Dominic Cruz. Ooh, Dominic Cruz. I want to see Dominic Cruz fight. Like, Dominic Cruz is a perfect guy to put in there against other guys with a big name, period. He's such a funky style, and it's just an interesting fight against anybody. But, yeah, I would love to see O'Malley fight Dominic Cruz or Jose Aldo. All right, so with my latest video with John Jones, I was talking about creating storylines. Wouldn't the product and rivalries feel kind of blah if it's not genuine. No, it wouldn't if they do it right. Like, you know, it's, oh wait, sorry. By the way, this is a perfect reminder. If you guys watch the most recent video that I put up and you see my new intro, new logo, all that, new thumbnail, which I didn't do a great job with that. Oh, but I did use the thumbnail for this video. I think I uploaded it correctly, but like, I gotta give a huge shout out to Will Page. Will Page did a full. I don't know if you guys have experience like with graphic design or like hiring graphic designers, but like when you're starting a company, you hire a graphic designer, you tell them what you're interested in, what you want, you know, like here's what I want for my logo, da, 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 and then they'll build out a full style guide. They'll give you a logo in multiple colors, multiple renderings, etc. They'll give you, you know, in this case, like a video intro, you know, designs for your brochures, whatever. It's like all the style guide is like all the designs that you would need going forward. It's not cheap. Like, it's not cheap for a professional designer to put one together for you. Fucking Will Page did one for me for free. Like, I am incredibly grateful because it turned out fucking awesome too. Like, really, really awesome. So when you see Will Page in the comments section at any point, that's my fucking dude. And also, if you are a person who has graphic design work needs, I would highly recommend him. And we didn't make a deal or anything like that. He just offered to do it. I got the style guide yesterday, and I could tell, like, 100%, like, he does absolutely top-notch work. But just check out the intro and from every single video going forward, starting with the interview that I put up today. But but he emailed me and he says he wants to talk 3 or 4 hours. 4 hours from right now, so that would be 9 o'clock my time. That works. Unless you can do it earlier. Sorry, you guys. We could jump on a hangout. Okay, so boom, done. Sorry about that. All right, so am I gonna go live for the fights next week? 100%. And Matt, my boy Matt Sales is gonna go on with me. I have to figure out how to be able to stream 2 people at the same time. You know, there's a lot of shit that I know about, like a lot. And then there's a lot of shit I don't, where I'm learning on the fly. And one of those is like, you know, this kind of setup, like going live, whatever. Like I need to figure out the ability to have 2 people wired in at the same time. Because Matt Sales, UFC fighter, is going to do a fight companion with me for 252. 252, right? Yeah. 252 or 253? What is this next one coming up? Yeah, so like, so that'll be cool. Like, you know, it's always, dude, when you're watching, 252. When you're doing, when you're watching fights with like professionals, it's the best, man. It's the fucking best. Cause like, there's just, you know, like, you get to, first of all, like, if you take pride in your ability to break down fights, you know, and you say something and they're like, that's correct. You're like, fucking goddamn right. Yes. Yeah. You know, it's like compliments are weighted based on who's giving them, right? I put this video up on Instagram a long time ago of me like practicing double tapping at the range, and I mean, I don't need to, you know, suck my own dick, but I'm pretty good at shooting and double tapping, etc. But my boy, who's a Special Forces Marine, commented under it, and he was like, great. He's like, great shooting. And I was like, don't, you're just saying that. And he's like, no, man. He's like, I'm just saying what I see. And I was like, thanks, man. You know, check it. There you go. Look at your boy. That's a 40 caliber subcompact. And that's that's 2 dead assailants. But yeah, double tap for those of you guys that shoot. I mean, like, that's probably not a big deal to people who shoot in other states, but in California you can't shoot you like when you go to the range, you have to shoot like 1 round per second. It's fucking infuriating, man. So it's like boom, 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 boom. And like, you know, if you double tap like that, they'll fucking radio in. They're like, lane number 6, 1 second between shots. You're like, but in Utah, when I lived there for a year, you could do whatever the fuck you want. You could put a silencer on an MP5 and then shoot fully auto. Like there's no rules in Utah. And you get good at double tapping really fast if you practice it, but it still looks cool. I was trying to look like when I'm doing it, I'm visualizing Tom Cruise from Collateral. Have you guys seen that movie? Because I don't think many people have ever looked more ruthless and fucking surgically deadly with a firearm than Tom Cruise did in that movie. Okay. So with one of my latest videos, I was talking about Jones and whether the rivalries would be blah if it's not genuine. No, well, I mean, it just depends on their ability to act and fake it and make it believable, you know. Because I could promise you, there's no one on earth that I would fail to create a compelling, believable narrative beef with. Like, beef is not complicated, you know. It's really not. Like, it's like, that is not a complicated story to manufacture. You don't, like, if you really, like, so again, let's hypothetically say that Masvidal and Colby's beef is not real, right? Let's just say hypothetically if that's the case. And so when they're coming up with their story, they're like, well, what are we going to say is like the genesis of us hating each other? And if you think about it through that lens, the genesis of their problem is pretty fucking stupid, right? Dude, listen, man. Colby was working out with my coach and he didn't pay him, man. After the fight, he owed him money. He didn't pay him. And I'm like, yo, dude, the little bitch didn't pay my coach. It's like, that. I mean, if it's true, it makes sense. And simultaneously, if it's not true, it's kind of laughable, right? Like, they've been working out at the same gym for how long? They've been best friends for 8 years. Like, and you guys are going to stop talking over, like, does that seem like something Masvidal would, oh man, you need to pay my coach, right? It wouldn't be like some kind of like back and forth shit through Twitter or like them talking on microphones when they're not together. They train at the same gym, you know? That's why Colby had to say he was leaving American Top Team, is because there started to be rumblings around the industry that maybe it wasn't real, which was me. Which actually sucks because, you know, I'm sure Masvidal and Colby probably saw it, and, you know, and not because my channel's big, it's because Mix Molly put me up. And he put me up at the end of the Colby video, which has, you know, 400,000 views. And I would imagine Colby Covington has probably seen Mix Molly's Colby Covington video, right? And at the end of that one, in the comments, you know, user comments, I fucking called those guys out directly, where I was like, here's how I knew that was fake. This was before, I had like, I don't know, 800 subscribers at the time. I mean, not that I have 1 million now, but it was even smaller then. And I was really just commenting to Mix Molly, where I was like, look, I'm like, watch this interview with Masvidal. Colby's in that fucking room with him. Watch. And then, you know, if you guys haven't seen that, go watch the end of the Colby, the most recent Colby video of Mix Molly's. And he goes through it and he's like, yeah, I think he's right. And so I think it's highly possible that Colby and them saw that. And then all of a sudden they're like, fuck, we need to kick this up a notch. If we're going to keep this going, we got to kick it up. People are starting to talk, you know? And then it's like, oh, Colby's leaving the gym. Or I'm maybe just injecting myself into a story where I don't belong at all. And maybe they seriously have had a legitimate beef for 8 years. And it sounds ridiculous for me to even fucking be involved. Figueiredo will try to take Cody down. Maybe. He's very, very hard to take down. It's the quiet, calculated ones you need to watch out for. I don't know what that's in reference to because I'm so far behind, but that is completely correct. And yes, for 100% sure, I'll do a fight companion with Justin and Khabib fight. Do I think Izzy's gay? I think his new hair, the one he showed in his latest Instagram, is very suspect. I don't know, dude. Like, honestly, Stylebender, he's got a real like trendy. He's got like a really trendy style, you know. And honestly, like, I'm behind on stuff. Like, I'm behind on stuff, and I think he could just be like ahead of the curve from a style perspective. But I actually think it would be awesome if he was gay because he's such a murder machine. Like that would be so sick. Like you know, for the first like openly gay UFC fighter to be an undefeated knockout murder machine, that would be awesome. In my opinion, like that would be so. Like, if you guys have seen The Wire, you know, like the show The Wire. I mean, for those of you who have, which it is honestly the best show ever made, the most gangster character in the show by 100 miles, like with no second place that's even remotely in the conversation, is Omar Little, and he's gay, and he makes being gay seem like he's too gangster to be straight. Like he's like being straight would be like being a pussy. That's how gangster he is. That like it's like, well, whatever he is obviously the toughest thing that you can be because he's the toughest motherfucker ever. But you know, not that Izzy carries it like that. I just think that would be fucking hilarious. It's like, you know, he's like, look, you know, I like to fuck guys. What are you guys gonna do about that? Anybody got a problem with that? Who wants to tell me that they've got a problem with my lifestyle? I'll tell you what, we can work that out right over there in the octagon. Who wants to say something about it? Tell me all your ideas that are how it's unnatural and all those things. Just make sure you say all the things you think before the fight, and then I'll knock your teeth out. Anyway, I think that would be hilarious. Anger's a poisonous a substance. The best. I totally agree. Aldo, I think I just talked about that. If O'Malley wins, give him Cody Stammen next. I mean, I see that, but he's like, Cody's not a, like, I think, like I said, O'Malley needs the biggest possible name they can give him that they also think he'll beat. And I think that's more Dominic Cruz, or TJ, because TJ deserves to lose to someone that it seems like he should beat. And also the pressure is off O'Malley because if he loses, it's like, well, I mean, you know, he's a young guy and we jumped all the way up to TJ Dillashaw. But I think very likely that O'Malley will win. Like O'Malley, dude, again, people like, just wait till he fights a real guy. Okay, well, what evidence is there that anyone's going to give him a problem because he's literally annihilated anybody that he's fought? But again, so had Shabazian, right? And Derek Brunson worked him. So who knows? You just don't know until they step the competition up. Might be overthinking it. Got to consider time, day, week. I don't know what that is in reference to. Asuncio fighting Masvidal. What? Asuncio fighting Masvidal? What? What? Wait, that's talking about 135-pound Asuncio fought Jorge Masvidal? Is that correct? Really? Let me see that. Let's check. Let's fact check. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, it was in 2005. That is 100 years ago. That's bizarre, though. That is bizarre. That's for sure. Why do you think that is? That's how big of a star Conor is. Honestly. I mean, you got Khabib and Tony, obviously, and Gaethje, whatever, but like, I mean, not whatever, really, you have them, but the reason why Khabib is as big of a star as he is because he fought and beat Conor. And there's no conversation about 155 that doesn't involve Conor coming back. Like if Conor, I'm telling you, he is an enigma that people literally aren't even aware of how big he is in the sport until you really take a step back and think about it. It's like he's fought once in the UFC since 2016, maybe the end of 2015. Is that, right? No, I'm sorry, twice, including Cowboy, sorry. But it's so crazy, dude. Like the amount of weight he still carries. He's a once in a generation type of fighter, which is again why it is infuriating that he's on the shelf, because I want to see him fight. But yeah, lightweight, I'm fascinated by Gaethje and Khabib, and I really want to see Khabib fight Ferguson, assuming that Ferguson wins his next fight. But again, I would expect a fucking asteroid impact if they actually book that fight. Coolissimo, hey Jesse, what's up, dog? Let's see. Oh, lack of smaller divisions. Right. 2005. Good point. Yep. That's before WEC. No, I have not made the new channel yet, but I will. And Jesse Macias, what's up, dog? I love you too. Only fight Dana would let Khabib fight is GSP would be Jesse. That would be the fastest fight in UFC history. All right, let's go. Jesse against Khabib. Jesse, we're going to pay you $2 million to take that fight. Sold. Are you sure? Yeah, fuck yeah, $2 million? Yeah, I'm in. He's going to beat the shit out of you and annihilate you. 100%. 100%. I give myself no chance of winning. But I will go take that beating for $2 million. I'll throw a head kick first. For one, he'll come out. I will throw a head kick. I'll make him block it. He'll take me down immediately. But at least people will go, oh, wow, if that would have landed, at least we know Jesse on Fire could knock a person out. Because, if that landed on a head, they'd be unconscious for sure. But Khabib blocked it and then, shot a single leg, took him down, and then, rearranged his face. But, against another, commentator, I like his odds. Win-win, $2 million, and, bolster my rep. Thoughts on Tyson versus, we talked about that. Poisson, summed by Charlemagne. I don't know what that is. Freeze, what's up, dog? I am joining the mass exodus out of California. It's a matter of time. I know Austin's compromised too. Depending on how you compromise. But that's a city in a state that is, I don't know. It's not like, I don't know. I feel like the state has more impact over your life than the city, although LA is really putting that theory to the test. They'll shut off your power and your water if you have people over. You're like, hang on, I feel like the CDC just came out with numbers that says that you're more likely to get struck by lightning than to die of that thing if you're under 20. This is acknowledged by the CDC. It's if you're, you know what? I'm not talking about this. All I'm saying is that the government shutting off your power for any reason in retaliation for something you did seems pretty draconian and crazy to me. No, Arizona is our, we are 100% checking out Arizona. It's either Austin or Scottsdale, most likely. You're in Fort Worth and you think Austin's expensive. I would imagine that it is. Texas has so much land. Jesse, don't fuck Texas up like you did, how I did to California. Yeah, I can promise you, California fucked itself up on its own, and I had nothing to do with that, other than living here and complaining about decisions that they've made about things. I wish I'd known that a couple of years ago. I'm too far behind to know what that was in reference to. For sure, it was YouTube unsubscribing old people. That makes me feel a lot better, actually. Prime, or I enjoy your brutal honesty. Thank you, sir. You know, I will always give that to you guys. On the, you know, in the interview yesterday that I did with Kaijin, I was talking about, I could just tell that he's a guy who's experienced doing psychedelics, and I asked him, I'm like, dude, you ever done DMT? Because I just may or may not have acquired it. I have no plan of when I'm going to actually do it, but you know, I just directly told him, I'm like, you know, I'm like, people who most people who kind of grow up into, like, you know, guys like me or guys like him probably, you know, have a history of getting like fucked with when you're young, you know, and like feeling helpless, which is like, then when you get bigger and you have a choice of what kind of person do I want to be, that for sure shapes it. It's like trauma will shape you into what you are. Now, I'm not going to compare getting fucked with to you know, other things that you might categorize as trauma, but for sure it's a thing that feels awful that you want to protect yourself against. And so you like imagine a version of yourself that no one would ever fuck with, and you imagine that long enough, and then all of a sudden you become that thing. And I told him, I'm like, I'm just basically expecting the first realization that I have when I go on this DMT journey is going to be like, oh, hey, dude, you know, all this shit that's really important to you about like everyone kind of being able to gauge that if they fuck with you, it'd be a really, really bad idea. Yeah, all that is just stemming from you being a 10-year-old and getting picked on by, like, you know, and feeling like you couldn't do shit about it. Like, you're just a fucking 10-year-old. You're just a helpless 10-year-old inside that, you know, really dangerous body. Like, yeah, fuck, man. It's lucky that you're so good at violence because you can protect the 10-year-old baby that's inside your body, you fucking baby. Now, how many people would say that about themselves? Some brutal honesty for that ass. And nonetheless, 10-year-old boy or not, still. Anyway, what's the other channel's name? I don't have it yet, but I will. Sorry, I'll admit I didn't watch the whole thing, but still like the video. I don't know which video we're talking about. Let the SJWs leave, and Antifa is the new brown shirts. I totally agree with that. But honestly, what I think is that YouTube is, you know, there, like, you know, there are certain words that if you say, the algorithm will pick up, and they'll ban your video for sure, and they'll start to derank you. Like, there's that whistleblower guy, and if you said his name, that was a strike. They would start to, you know, like, unrank your stuff. And then gosh, there's something else. Oh, talking about that specific treatment to that specific thing that, you know, the world's dealing with. If you talk about that, same thing. And I just think, honestly, it's like there are certain words that you can say that will get flagged by the algorithm and then will cause them to derank you. And I'm just basing that on what I've seen what I've seen from an evidence perspective. I just had that conversation with my little sister about Antifa. I don't know what conversation, but I am sure that it was accurate. Do I still do any martial arts training? That's a funny question. So check this out. So I hadn't, you know, I just like, I mean, I'll go and keep my skills sharp, kind of, I mean, not sharp, but sharp enough where, like, if I had to kick someone in the head, I still could, you know, like, go just, you know, kicking a heavy bag and, you know, throwing punches, etc. Like, but I just put my daughters into Taekwondo, and as they were taking their assessment, I mean, my daughter's 8 and my other one's 4. Okay, not that there's much to assess for the 4-year-old, but the 8-year-old actually is solid. I mean, obviously, I've been, you know, teaching her how to do things forever, but like, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, honestly, I might take a few of these classes just because, so I can learn, you know, the technique of some of these Taekwondo kicks. I feel pretty confident saying that as a full fighting system, Taekwondo is not a martial art that has held up under full combat scrutiny. Like, you know, Joe Rogan talks about that a lot, but also just find me a Taekwondo fighter in the UFC, right? There's plenty of karate guys, plenty of, you know, Muay Thai guys, plenty of boxing guys, plenty of wrestlers. Taekwondo is not something, it's like, he's a Taekwondo fighter, but Taekwondo does have some very unique kicks, and you can leverage, you know, it's kind of like judo. Oh, that guy can throw really well because he did judo. Well, Taekwondo is like the thing where you can throw some pretty vicious fucking kicks, man. Like, there are some specific kicks in Taekwondo that are fucking bananas. And so basically, like, I told him that I wanted to take some classes. Like, so I literally, like, just right now, I'm gonna start doing martial arts again. But so we did like an assessment or whatever. You know, he's like, show me. He had focus mitts. He's like, okay, show me a jab. I'm like, okay, you know. He's like, all right, show me a cross. Show me a 1-2. And he's like, okay. He's like, so, you know, he's like, show me an uppercut. He's like, all right, so you know all this. And he's like, all right, show me a round kick. And, you know, I did one of those. He's like, okay, so you know all this stuff. He's like, but so he's like, I'm gonna put you as a whatever level is the high yellow belt, just to start, but keep you in the beginner class so that I can learn the basics around like the techniques and kicks. Because honestly, like that, and that's exactly what I want. Like, I'm not taking Taekwondo because I think I'm fucking good at Taekwondo. That's the whole point. Like, I want to go in there and learn the basic, you know, structure and then like techniques for those kicks so that I can implement those into my practice and then get really good at them. I'm not like expecting to like take Taekwondo for 3 fucking years and try to get a black belt or anything. I want to learn the basics so that I can learn and then practice some of those vicious like spinning kicks and like, and also they do things different than Muay Thai and kickboxing, which is where everything I've done. And I'll be curious to kind of like learn that and then see how I feel, you know, when I spar, like if I think that one way is better than the other. Like, and it's just like little stuff, like a round kick in Muay Thai or kickboxing. You know, if you throw a kick and you know the guy slips it, you know, you go all the way around, right? Like, you know, you throw the full kick and then you go all the way around. In Muay Thai, in Taekwondo, you throw a round kick, but then at the end you kind of snap your foot, but you don't go all the way around, and then so you come back to set. So it's more like, you know, like cross back to set, you know, like jab back to set, cross back to set. It's like that, but with kicks, you know. So it's like, anyway, it's just, you know, it's a little different stuff. And then, but one thing I saw, like, because I know how, like, I taught myself how to do a side kick, literally actually just from watching a YouTube video. It's like, okay, so how, like, what's the basic technique of a side kick? But, and I have pretty strong side kick to the body, but then when I try to do a side kick where I would kick someone in the head, I can't fucking do it. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I mean, I can roundhouse kick a guy in the head all day long, you know, unless they're 6'5". But for some reason, I couldn't figure out how to do like a Taekwondo side kick to the head. And so when I was doing the assessment, I asked him, and he gave me one tip, and it raised my foot easily 6 inches. Still not high enough to kick a person in the head. Dude, you got to be a lot more flexible with Taekwondo. You can have pretty inflexible, you know, you can be kind of like a stiff monster and still, you know, be pretty strong. But like Taekwondo, I feel like you need a lot more flexibility. But anyway, on the side kick, all it is kind of like shifting your whole body back and keeping your head low. So like your leg goes higher by kind of moving your entire body this way to, anyway, it's neither here nor there. But that is the longest fucking answer ever to martial arts. And I am so fucking excited to be able to go on a bag and show a vicious spinning hook kick and shit. Have my family pop in the stream. I will do that for sure. I'll do that shit right fucking now. You think I won't? I will. What's this? Stop giving a fuck. I told you, dude. It's not that easy. You're 16 and thinking about starting MMA. If you want to have a future and potentially become a professional, you should start right now.
Look at that.
Oh, look at this. Giselle, what are you doing?
Oh, nothing.
With nunchucks?
I'm not doing anything.
Look at that.
I'm sorry, I don't have
That's the kind of parenting I do. I come out there just nunchucking. She's 8. Why don't you show him something you can do? Yeah. Yep. What do you think that's going to look like when she's 15 and some sleazebag tries to do something? What flippy one?
This one. This is very impressive.
Yeah, do that.
The X-way.
Yeah, do it. Look at that. By the time she's 15, she's going to be a lethal instrument of destruction. Good job. Keep working on that and imagine that you're hitting someone in the face with it every time.
Go like this. Daddy,
Look
like
how
this.
smooth the chick on the TV does it.
Oh, no.
Look at this! Dude, I come out on, like, I just come out. She's watching an instructional fucking nunchuck thing on her own on YouTube. God, I've never been so proud of you. Good job.
That's what I do. I'm like free time.
Genevieve, why aren't you learning how to beat people up right now?
Either way, you're getting a new bag.
Eating dinner? That's not acceptable. Go learn to hurt people. Gabrielle, say hi.
What are we doing?
Nothing. Just saying hi. I can't. All right. Now let's. But yeah, slow mata. You should start doing MMA immediately. Because look at. Because my daughter, she's 8. She's going to be a fucking murder machine by the time she's 16. So you got to do some catching up. The MMA. Oh, Freeze. I like most of the content. See eye to eye on most things. The MMA stuff is what brought you here, but not super huge into MMA either. Interesting. So the MMA stuff brought you here, but you're not that into MMA. That's interesting. There's a shitload of don't California, Texas. Foot penis, my dude. What's up, man? Anybody who wants me to really remember them, easiest way ever is just name yourself like a piece of anatomy with penis at the end, and I will never forget. What? Oh, look at you. You're going to nunchuck too? Look at this.
It's a 2-year-old.
She's 2. Good job. Go ahead. Good job.
She's still learning this one. She does it from the back.
Well, yeah, she's 2.
Yeah, no, she does it from the back like this. That's what Roshni
Good
does.
job, Georgia. Now imagine that you're hitting a person with it every time
So
you flip it.
Look at. So Georgia, look at.
Yeah.
So you're like this.
Yeah, boy.
That like this. Again.
Yes, just like that. Good job. So,
Again.
if you guys were going to assess my parenting skills, would you consider me awesome or a psychopath? But my daughters are not going to be the ones that are fucking getting me too'd in college. They're going to be the one where dude's like, come on. I just feel so close to you. I said no. I just feel so close to you, broken arm. Mm-hmm. It's basically the same reason, but for something much darker than bullying and not wanting to revisit the feeling. Just being a bit. Yeah. 100%. It's like, yeah, like have something in your past where you felt helpless and then build your life around never feeling that way ever again. The Wire is better than The Sopranos, actually. 100%. Damn, I'm catching up. God damn, I am so fucking behind. This is crazy. Let's see. TJ does not deserve anything. He's a cheat. Agree. He deserves to get a spinning back kick to the Faz. Uriah Faber's clock is ticking. He's fucking 42, man. His clock been ticked. But, no.
I'm going to show you mine.
Okay, come in here and do it then. Wait, what did you say, Anderson Silva? You said thanks for going in depth. I don't remember what I said.
No.
No, you guys beat it.
Okay, come on.
Wow, Jen. Good job.
And
Oh,
one more.
I'm not going to stop the non-MMA content. I'm just going to move it on to a different channel. Okay, great job, Genevieve. All you guys, beat it. Beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it. Good job, Georgia. That's amazing. Now just imagine hey, close the door, but when you swing the nunchucks, pretend you're hitting a boy that tried to grab your leg. All right, Tyson's a beast. Let's see how his cardio is after all that smoking. Dude, honestly, what's interesting about Tyson coming back to fight is that, like, and dude, honestly, the reason why I got interested in DMT, I'd heard Joe Rogan talk about it a million times. What actually got me interested in it was Mike Tyson, because I've been a fanatical Mike Tyson fan my entire life. And so I've always had my finger on the pulse of, like, Mike Tyson, like, as a person, especially, like, you guys know how I see people. Like, I've always had him very well dialed. Like, you say what you want about Tyson, but you always know exactly what you're getting with that guy. Like, he couldn't like hide it if he wanted to. And in the last year or so, you're watching him in these interviews, you're like, what the fuck? Like, he's literally a different person. Like, he's a different person. And he's told every single person, he's like, it's because he smoked DMT. He saw the world for what it actually is. It destroyed his ego. And it just completely opened him up to, like, everything else. And, like, that was when I started actually really doing research into it, where I was like, man, like, and there are such crazy things about it where, like, everyone who does it reports the exact same experience in terms of, like, everyone that it's essentially identical to a near-death experience. Like, they go through a tunnel, go on to this, like, other side, they see this reality that they know is always there. Every single person that does it comes out of it a believer in something much bigger than us. Everyone. Like, where they're like, oh, that's just as real as here, if not more. We just can't see it normally. I watched a video on YouTube. I think it was Vice that did it. And this guy did it in this controlled environment. He was a heroin addict. A lot of people use it to kind of finally beat that, that like demon that's in their, that's on their back. And you watch his whole thing, like, because DMT, you want to smoke it and then lay down. He smokes it, he lays down, and when he wakes up, he's like, and the guy who's like his guide is like, that's where we come from and where we go when we die. And he's like, I know. It's just so fucking crazy. Everyone reports that same thing, and they're just like, there's no way you could describe it until you did it. But it's such a huge thing. You don't just, like, willy-nilly fucking just go do it. You know what I mean? But Tyson, total fucking personality transplant. But I will, you know what? I'm going to put something in the comments for you guys to watch. Like, once we're done here, you guys are going to watch this YouTube video, and it's going to blow your fucking mind, dude. If you keep in mind what I'm telling you, which is just assume that I have done
into that
whoa,
and then I was in
imagine that. I mean, take for granted that I have done the amount of research that I have, and we're talking like scientific studies. It's not just like, guys saying, "Oh, well, I did this and dirt." But check that video out that I just put in there. But everyone reports tunnel, other reality, beings, aliens, like, communicating with them. And keep that in mind, that there are all these similarities between all these things that people experience. And then think about this fucking video that I just posted, where a guy who's, a regular guy, he's a comedian, who smoked DMT 20 times. And he said in one of those experiences, he had been in there, it's so real in there that he was like, I need something that'll prove that this is real and not just all in my head. They're like, all right. And the next night, he had his buddy over, and his buddy was going to smoke DMT for the very first time. And Shane told him nothing about anything. Oh, I'm sorry. So he's like, I need to see something to know that this is real. So he ends up, in his experience, he goes to a carnival, and this purple lady comes in, and he's like, I've known her for thousands of lifetimes. Like, we knew each other so well. I know that I'm still trapped in this experience I'm in now, so I can't fully but like I know we've lived thousands of lives together, and she cares about me, whatever. Purple, like genie looking lady. So the next day, he has his buddy over, and his buddy smokes DMT for the very first time. He's never done it before. Shane had not told him any stories about anything relating to his experiences. The guy is in his experience, and he's like, Shane, they love you here, man. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, I'm at a carnival, and there's a purple woman here who's saying that she knows you really well, and she really cares about you. So it's, if you've done the level, or like if you understand that they're like, that everyone who does this really believes that it is some kind of like gateway into this other dimension. They like, I'm talking everyone who's ever done it says that that's what it is. And then this guy he communicates with someone who he's known for thousands of lifetimes, and then his buddy goes the next night and he meets the same person. Explain to me how that's possible if the shit's just in your head, right? Like that story is like the ultimate. If you want like as close to proof of an afterlife as you're going to get, that's what you're looking at right there without doing it yourself. Anyway, I have no idea what the nature of any of it is. I just know that all these scientists that have done all these tests on it, all the subjects that have done tests on it, and all the people that have smoked it consistently all say the exact same thing. And I'm going to tell you what it's like after I do it, whenever that is. And I'll probably come on here. I'll be like, listen, guys, I just want you guys to know, like, I'm not on fire anymore. Now I'm just Jesse, death of the ego. Hopefully you guys still find me entertaining, the new calm and, whatever version of myself. Here's the thing. Even when it kills my ego, like in a good way, I'll still be on fire because I can't turn that shit off. All right. So what else we got? Trying to fit your ideals to that of the crowd around you is peer pressure. So trying to conform to the subs is just a new way. It's not like conform to the subs more than it's just like the channel's not growing. Like it stopped growing the second that I started talking about other stuff. That's just like like whether it's people leaving or it's YouTube making decisions about where to promote me or not promote me. I can't have it, man. I am on a mission that requires those metrics to go this direction. You smoke 2 blunts before you run 9 miles 6 days a week. That's awesome. So you're like a Diaz brother. I don't care about any fight when the fighter's age adds up to 100. That's not... I disagree. I don't care about the fight. I'm excited to watch it just because it's Tyson. Wouldn't care about watching Roy Jones fight, but it's Tyson. But that's funny. That is funny. King of bitches is real and he can hurt you. I don't know what that means. The king of bitches is real. Someday I'll be a regular on Chael Sonnen's podcast talking about the intangibles. Yeah, with Chael, I'm 100% positive it's just a matter of me meeting him. Like, if he came on my show or I went on it, whatever. Like, we spend any amount of time together, we'll wrap out. So many. Not because like I'm, giving myself a hand job. It's just a lot of common interests. Like he's a, he's a fight analyst who had a career, where now he's an entrepreneur. That's where I come from, and it's just, and you could just tell we would make each other laugh, or I would fucking certainly laugh at his jokes. He's hilarious. Running and fighting is a different game. I'm so far behind, I don't even know what that means. That begs the question, how good is Jesse on fire? He's good. Don't have any idea what we're talking about, but he's great. Big bag of Pez. Do it! Do it. Oh my God, I just got to Cope's super chat. Oh my God, that's embarrassing. I'm so behind. The king of bitches. I can't believe that's real. And Paulo Costa versus Israel Adesanya is going to be a bananas fight, man. If he looks tired, it's because he's old. Who are we talking about? Prime Orc Bork. Who are we talking about? Looks tired because he's old. Aldo versus TJ would be a good fight. Yep, I agree. That's Aldo's bantamweight. Yeah. Now they're watching Bellator right now. I didn't even know Bellator was on right now. They're doing such a bad job fucking promoting. It's unbelievable. I can see. Oh, look, Darren Till. Darren Till's on my channel. The Shagmaster. Darren Till's hilarious, man. I can't wait to have them. Like, again, another guy I'll be BFFs with. I can see Dominic Cruz winning that fight via decision. However, Sean could also beat him, and that would give him an immediate title contestant spot, especially if he knocks Dominic out. Agree. TJ does not deserve anything. He's a cheat. Agree. Wait, what? Clock is ticking. I already saw that. Okay. How many fights does Sean O'Malley have to win before he gets a title shot? It's not that simple. Depends on how he wins, right? If he goes in and he starches, what's his name, on next Saturday, if he starches him in the first round, like he has everybody else, and then he fights Dominic Cruz and then he starches him in the first, he'll get a title shot right after that, probably. Although 135, no. Actually, if he does that, he'll get a title shot, probably. They want him to have the belt. Like that is the end result the UFC is chasing. Wait, what? 4 or 5 more wins before he gets a title shot? No way. 4 or 5? No way, man. Definitely not 5. I mean, unless he suddenly starts winning by decision. Like, if he starts winning in very unimpressive fashion, that's different. But if he continues to win the way he's winning, yeah, it won't take more than 3 more. I mean, I guess we're only arguing over 1. You said 4. But 2 might be a little quick. It just depends on how the rest of the division shakes itself out. But I think if he wins 2 decisively, then he'll probably get 1. Especially if one of them is over someone in the top 5. Actually, which wouldn't be, because it would be this. So maybe 3. Yeah, you're right. Drop a link to the Will Page website. Shit, let me actually do that. Let me do that. Hold up. Hey. Does he not have... What the... Will Page, you don't have a website. I can give you guys his email. Actually, I don't know if I should do that, but... I will have him... I'll have him comment on this thread, and then I'll pin it so it's at the top, assuming that he wants it. I would be shocked if he didn't. It's not like. Let me see if I can just Google it. Dude, just go look at the intro he did on that I put on the interview that I put up today. It's so sick, man. Here he is. Well, here's his LinkedIn. Here's his motherfucking LinkedIn, you bitch. Boop, boop, boop. There you go. That is his LinkedIn. I just posted. All right. I gotta sign off in a second and eat and try to really quickly try to go through these. Wyoming doesn't have ranges, and we just step out back and shoot. Yeah, I know. My buddy's actually looking at moving there too. Got to practice for real life. That's right. No survivors. If I'm going to shoot at him, I'm going to double tap their brain. But yeah, I mean, like, since you guys like the additional kind of topics, I'm telling you, dude, like the interview that I did with Cajun yesterday, like, I'm serious. He is, I'll just give it to you straight, like, he is a Black Lives Matter activist, like a straight up super involved activist. And it was awesome because he's also really smart, like that, because like I was actually talking to him about this yesterday, where there are two. It's like just because this group is saying we're supporting Black Lives Matter does not mean they're the same as some people over here that are like, like some people are really smart. Whether they're kind of viewing the world accurately or not is kind of irrelevant. It's just about like, are they capable of having like a coherent, intelligent conversation with a person and acknowledging that there are problems with people's behavior on their side, which he was. Versus these like fundamentalists. Anyway, I just like that's why the interview. Well, first of all, it was a great interview anyway. But like, just the fact that we could touch on topics that we clearly disagreed on, and found a ton of common ground, even relating to those. It was fun. Oh my God, how am I back at? Is The Wire better than The Sopranos? Fuck, man. So what you're saying is Jesse on fire, homo, likes the north-south position. Yep. That could be the best fight nickname ever, right? Jesse north-south or whoever, just fill in the blank. Like whoever north-south, we know what that means, right? Like if we, as we build the Jesse on fire army, it's like if one of us comments this dude north-south, we know exactly what that means. Means he likes the 69 dudes. Goat on the motherfucking mic, son. Tommy Riley with a Scarface picture. I like it. I like it. Let me just see how fucking behind I am. Wait. Bummer you could just extract it. I think that sounds like DMT talk. Let me just see if that was accurate. You can just extract it yourself. Dude, I probably got ripped off, to be honest with you, because I have no idea what I was doing. But I don't care. The price was fine. If you've done loads of LSD, then I would suggest you just look into it, because when Joe Rogan talked about it, he's like, they're like, how would DMT compare to shrooms? And he's like, it's like shrooms times 1,000,000 plus aliens. But what's crazy about it is like the experience lasts 15 minutes in this world. Like it feels like 20 hours. But in real life, it's a 15-minute trance, and then when you come out of it, you're like totally sober. Like it's like totally sober. Yeah, it's fascinating, man. Did you hear a crazy, loud, sucking, ripping sound when you? No, I'm saying I haven't done it yet. But I'm going to. Oh, you guys both. DMT for sure is a portal to somewhere. I just don't know where. One trip, and it felt like I blasted into outer space. Then one trip, felt like I dissolved into myself. It's for sure something, yeah. Yep, I love hearing people talk about what it was for them, because like, I don't know why. I'm yet to hear. Have I watched Mouthy Buddha video on DMT? Of course. There are no videos that Mouthy Buddha has done that I have not watched. I don't know, like, I can't. The first time I did DMT, I thought all my teeth had shattered in my mouth, and I thought I was dying. Probably didn't do enough. I've heard that that's the case. Like if you, it's like you have to like do more. Talking about DMT, yes. Long story short, when I took DMT, I communicated with something for sure that told me something along the lines of whatever path you're on, you will end up in the right place in the end. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like it's not the kind of thing that I feel like I just should do by myself. Just like, technically could just go do it right now. I'm not going to though, because they're like there are people who like specialize in like, you know, guiding people, and I feel like that's probably a good you know, a good path for something that heavy. Plus, like, they can like guide, you know, like I'll feel a lot more comfortable if they're like, here, do another one, or you've had enough, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, Vaughn Jacobson says, fuck you, bitch. No idea. Oh man, sorry, Darren Shagmaster, I missed that super chat. What do I think of California going broke again? Predictable. Have you guys seen that the New York City tax base is down 40%? 40%. Okay, imagine you're running your business on, you know, $20,000 a month, and then all of a sudden you're making $10,000 a month. It's like, oh, we're fucked, right? Like our bills, you know, like our net profit was only 3,000. Like we spend 17,000 of that 20, we make 3,000. Now we're only making 10, so we're in the whole 7,000 now. Like New York was already broke, and now they listen. Like no one wants to have super high taxes, and no one wants to be told what to do, right? Like this, just I think it's pretty fair to say that at this point, this is an objective fact that people who are wealthy don't like being told what to do, and they don't like paying tons and tons and tons of additional taxes. So if your plan is to make it untenable to live there, then the people who have the means to leave are going to do that, and then your city is going to fall apart. Okay, so I don't know, man. Look at the mayors of like look at Bill de Blasio, man. And he's like when they talked about the billionaires leaving, he acted like they were like sack or something. It's like, do you think that like, I don't understand. Do you think that like you guys, it's like your high school friends, they owe you something because they are rich and lived in New York at one, like they can do whatever they want. It's your job to honestly like think about them as people who contribute a tremendous amount of money to the overall budget, and then, you know, maybe don't make it awful for them to live there. I will say this though, obviously the entire situation has made it obvious that being in a highly populated city is not where you want to be if the shit really hits the fan. But don't California, Texas. I love it. I honestly think the Korean Zombie will make quick work of Ortega. There's nothing to base that on. I think it'll be a great fight, though. The Zombie's he's a savage, dude. There's no one sleeping on him. Wait. Zombie's fighting at 145, not 155. Right? Why do you think he's at 155? He's fighting Brian Ortega, 145. Right? I don't think the Korean Zombie's at 155. All right, this is the last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to beat the street. But I do have one thing for you guys to look at, which is hilarious. He's number 4 featherweight. So if you guys haven't watched it on the UFC app, go watch the show that they did about Diego Sanchez. I'm sorry, not Diego Sanchez. Joe Riggs and Nick Diaz after Nick Diaz fought Joe Riggs. Like the true story of them fighting in the hospital afterwards is unreal. It's so funny, dude, because it's totally true. And it's like, oh, this is what the Diaz brothers are like, like when there are no cameras on, like when they're just straight up like This is how we roll in. This is how we roll in public. Okay, look, this is it. It's called Fight Lore ER. Wait, this content is not available. Anyway, it's called Fight Lore. FIGHTLORE. Don't be confused if you're not constantly training. Someone that is would kick your or my ass. That's the truth if you've been high level before. Wait, what? Don't be confused if you're not constantly training. Someone that is would kick your or my ass. That's the truth if you've ever been high. Assuming that the person that you're talking about is high level, you know. I mean, like if I train for 4 years and I train 5 days a week, 6 days a week, I'm already really talented and I take to it really fast, take it super serious, and I turn into a fucking murder machine. And then, you know, I go to the gym once a month, you know, for a few years, twice a month at max. And then they square me off against somebody who's been training really consistently for a year, but, you know, they're athletic looking, but they don't, you know, they're not really talented. I'll still fuck that guy up. But once you hit a certain threshold, a person hits a certain threshold, if they're training all the time, yeah, you have no chance. It's literally like, it's like fighting, it's like playing someone in Call of Duty that's better than you. Like you could play them 100 times. 100 times they're going to win. You know, there's just almost zero luck in that game. Oh my gosh, did I catch all the way up? I love your content. Thank you so much, Dougie. Watching from Ireland. Nice, dude. You got to record it on an iPhone. Rhyme off everything you remember ASAP for your own memory. That's a good idea. That's actually what I've heard too. The DMT it raises more questions for you to try to answer. I've heard that as well. But the one thing that's very consistent though is there's no one, even people who went into it believing that it's like stone atheists, like there's no God, there's no nothing, like you die and then you're gone. None of them leave the experience believing that afterwards. None of them. Literally none of them. So, you know, you might not get all the answers to the universe, but it sounds like you get one of them answered, and that's a pretty fucking big one. All right, I gotta tap out. I love you guys. Thank you guys. Wait, this one is important. When you're 40 or 50, you don't want to have any regrets. You don't want to sit back and say, man, I should have done this or that. Do it. I 1000% agree with whatever you were saying that in reference to, because fuck it. You miss every shot you don't take. And failing should be something that you feel good about. Honestly. Like, you try and you fail, you're chiseling yourself into a better version of yourself. You know? Like you should consider your mistakes and your failures like a chisel mark into the statue of yourself that you're building, the future state of yourself that's a fucking savage. Yeah. Anyway. All right. I gotta bounce. Love you guys. Thank you for the support, and we will chat soon. Pace in the Middle East. How do I shut this thing down?